right. The defensive performance wasn't up to standard, of course, last year. We've discussed that many times, as has been discussed across Central Ohio many times in bars and living rooms and all over the place. But the defensive front, my goodness, Haskell Garrett moves on. We saw him just at the NFL draft combine this past week, and also Tyreek Smith. But other than that, my goodness, if this defensive line doesn't perform this year, I just can't imagine.
Certainly the hope at Ohio State in terms of coaches that remained. Larry Johnson is the only member of the defensive staff that is back from last season. So that tells you that Ryan Day has confidence in what Larry Johnson can do. Obviously, he's got a pretty long track record, both Ohio State and Penn State. Many people consider him to be the best defensive line coach in the country. And, the number of guys that he's produced and sent to the NFL speaks to that. But Ohio State, the last couple of years, just hasn't had that guy. They haven't had those game wreckers, the Joey Bosa's, the Nick Bosa's, the Chase Youngs. And that's just on the ends I'm talking specifically. But even in the middle, Haskell Garrett was very good. They battled with some injuries last year that caused him to have probably a less productive season than he'd like. So really this defensive line, I feel like as much as Ohio State's had success there, has something to prove. Guy like Zach Harrison coming back, he's going to be a senior. This is a guy, 5-star kid. Everyone thought he would be 3 years and out, and he's been good, but not up to the 5-star standard that he set. So he's probably the biggest returning name. And then you throw in Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimalau, the two sophomores, both played as freshmen. Neither had a huge impact, and I think this is the year where they can kind of take that next step, and the Buckeyes need them to. I imagine they will play a much bigger role than they did, and they'll mix in with Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Tyler Friday. So there's certainly guys on the ends that can make plays for the Buckeyes. It'll just be about taking that next step for each of them, including a guy like Harrison, who's in his 4th year. And then in the middle, you mentioned Haskell Garrett's gone. They've got to replace some talent there. Teron Vincent's a guy who's battled injuries for Ohio State over the last couple of years. We've only really seen flashes of the potential he had coming out of high school. Tyleik Williams was a guy who came on middle of last year a bit, got some playing time, looked good, then was kind of pushed back down the depth chart as other guys got healthy. He was a freshman last year, will be a sophomore this year. Actually, I think he may even be listed as a redshirt freshman because he only played 4 games. So you've certainly got talent in the middle. Jerron Cage, Ty Hamilton, names that Buckeye fans probably know. And then we'll see what young guys emerge. But this defensive line is going to set the tone. And it'll be interesting, too, to see how the front changes under Jim Knowles. In past, he's used 3 kind of true defensive linemen and then kind of a hybrid defensive end linebacker who can stand up, still rush the passer, but can drop back in coverage a bit more. Ohio State certainly has guys who fit that hybrid description. Jack Sawyer could be one of them. Cade Stover, if he stays on the defensive side of the ball, which it looks like he probably will, could he move up to that position from the linebacker position? We saw him play in the Rose Bowl. So how Ohio State's defense kind of shapes up, we're still waiting to see. The Buckeyes just getting underway in spring practice this week, and first day out on the field. When we were there, hadn't really done much in terms of setting up the defensive schemes yet. So we'll see how this defensive front looks. I think to the naked eye, it'll probably still have a lot of 4-down situations, but you will see an end probably move around a little bit more and drop back in coverage, which just makes it more difficult for the quarterback to kind of read what's coming, who's going where once the ball's snapped